and in one page I would just consolidate whatever value additions I know. And on the D day, I would just quickly go through those respective topics. And in those 2 hours, that's really, really crucial. I had to amp it up by at least 30 or 40 marks minimum if
Okay.
I wish to be in the list.
This year, we're starting a new series called Raw and Real, wherein we'll take one aspirant, one serious aspirant who's cracked mains repeatedly, and we'll ask her or ask him what really worked for you. We don't want answers like, hey, you know what, this time I wrote 20 marks, or this time I just focused on better revision. No, I really want to know exactly what worked, what didn't work, what are myths, what are some good teachers out there, what are some good mock papers out there which are worth attempting, what are the note strategy which you made for yourself, and can you share them? And please do. So today we'll be talking with Dimple, who's appearing for interview in like about a month's time now. But this time, she made a promise to herself that she will aim for improving 70 plus marks in the mains attempt, 40 from the philosophy optional, and 30 for about GS1, GS2. We'll go very, very deep into subjects she already had conquered from previous attempts, subjects she left completely, and the ones she sought to master, and how. What was her diagnosis? What was the solutions offered in the market? And what really worked for us? And to top it up, in the end, we'll ask her, did this whole thing really work? Were there serendipities on the exam paper where, you know, what you thought would work 1 year before really, really worked? And we'll present this to you in a crazy new format. We'll draw a mind map while I'm talking with these people. Okay, so while you listen to both of us speaking and listen to the flow of the story, you'll also see some of the structural milestone elements being keyed in on the keyboard and presented to you in a mind map. Hopefully, this kind of a hyper engagement thing will keep you awake when you'll watch the whole thing and then you'll download the relevant material. We have with us Dimple today, and she'll be appearing for interview in probably a month's time. But today we'll spend 15 minutes in asking her the nitty-gritties of the subjects which she mastered this time versus the subject which she already has mastered before, and the ones that she left completely and why. So anyone who's watching this video and has the constraints of job, multiple attempts, and wants to actually increase the marks by 20, 30 very scientifically, this video would be very, very useful. At the end of this video, we'll ask her to drop some notes, maybe her personal notes or the other references which she's taken from the toppers, which really, really helped her, build the momentum for this attempt. Thanks, Simple, for taking the time. What I will do is, while we'll be talking, I'll also start making some kind of mind maps. Okay, so as
Sure.
we talk freewheelingly, we'll kind of keep writing the pivotal movements in the highs and the low. In a way, trying to structure this whole conversation so that anyone who's watching this or who's kind of referencing it later on will have some kind of a pathway, right? The journey that
Absolutely.
you're. Okay, awesome. So I'll just share the basic structure of mind map uh, over here, which I'll keep filling. So let's start from this. So this was the mains attempt that you have given,
Yes.
and anyone who's a seasoned aspirant will have three, broad headers under which the subjects are divided. One are the ones you've already mastered, properly mastered over time, without a doubt,
Yes.
and some would be the subjects which you'll ignore for a reason, right?
Yes.
There would be some reasoning, scientific reasoning. Either it just doesn't click with you, or it's not aligned with the cost benefit analysis. And then there would be some subjects which you would just start to master for this attempt and
Yes.
exactly know what to do on that.
True.
So let's do this. Let's just first write down the subjects that you ignored completely. The subjects conquered will take last of all, if ever.
Okay,
But tell me,
sure.
what are the subjects for this attempt that you completely ignored and why?
Okay, so Rohit's subjects ignored would be world history, which I've ignored in most of my attempts and also
Okay.
including this year.
And this is GS1.
GS1, GS1 world history.
So that's it. This is the only subject you ignored
Yeah, yeah, completely. I mean,
completely.
I just covered a few themes like French Revolution, American Revolution. Otherwise, I have neglected it mostly.
Okay. Did you read any rankers notes or any last minute crash summary for this, or
Yes, so
zero
since
amount spent?
no, so just I remember just in the last week before the main started, I came across these really concise notes of a topper on Telegram. So I went through this, went through that. It was a one page summary of all the important events like American Revolution, French Revolution, or decolonization, etc. I just quickly went through that, but I
Okay.
don't remember. I'm not sure that how well I recall it, but it just gave me ample amount of boost कि थोड़ा बहुत तो कर लिया at least इसमें भी.
Okay, so do share the link. If you
Absolutely.
can find
Yes.
back, right? We'll link it in this. Acha, so this was the one you completely ignored. But the
Yes.
reason, I guess, was कि वो cost
Cost
benefit analysis
cost
में आ ही नहीं
benefit
रहा.
analysis. Yes.
Okay, now what were the subjects for you to master this time?
Okay. Subjects to master were, so I'll go GS wise. So in
Hmm.
GS1, mostly it was history, art and culture, geography, because although these subjects, I had strong base in these subjects, but it was from the prelims perspective, not from the mains perspective. So I had to amp up my answer writing with regard to these subjects because I had been scoring really low in GS1,
Okay.
and these were the subjects because of which there was low score. And then GS2, in GS2, governance was one pain area because you don't get really good value addition material in that. And the concepts are also vague and really broad. And so I focus upon value additions and all of the strategies that we'll discuss later. But governance was again a subject to master. And then including my optional, because I had reached a plateau in my optional of around 250 marks. So my optional is
Okay.
philosophy, and so I had to amp it up by at least 30 or 40 marks minimum if
Okay.
I wish to be in the list. So this was again another subject.
So 250 is what you were scoring, right?
Yes,
Broadly about. And
yes.
this is out of 250
This
is
is
out of
500.
500.
Yes,
Okay,
but
so you have to maximize the score.
yes, to be getting into the list, 290 above is required, but
Hmm.
although philosophy has somewhat reached a plateau of 280, 290, so anywhere around 280 to 290, that's a good number.
Okay, so okay, let's tackle the optional first. Okay, I
Okay.
remember because you said you made some kind of an Excel, and then there were some tagging that you did to kind of
Yes.
understand the chronology. Go deep into that.
Absolutely. So since I had absolutely read my optional really well because I had appeared for
Hmm.
mains multiple times, but I was
Hmm.
not getting good marks. So then I did a
Hmm.
SWOT analysis that where am I missing out on. So
Hmm.
first in my last attempt, last to last, matlab, including this year, the last attempt, I actually focused upon no toppers notes, and those were really bulky. Although those were really good, but those were really bulky. I had went through all of them, but I could not recall them in time. So in my 2020 mains attempt, I could not I could not recall all of these points, and it also played with my confidence that why could I not include all of those points. So I left that
Hmm.
strategy apart, but this time what I did was, since I also had paucity of time because I was working alongside, so what I did
Hmm.
that I downloaded this Excel sheet of past 25 years questions again from Telegram. So this was pertaining specially to philosophy. So in
Hmm.
that Excel sheet, in each and every column, I would see that in which year which question has been
Hmm.
asked. Then I would analyze it कि कौन सा टॉपिक कितने साल में recur कर रहा है. That there would be few topics which are recurring in 2 years. Some
Hmm.
topics would be recurring in 5 years. Some topics are
Hmm.
recurring over 10 years, and some topics have been completely neglected.
Hmm.
So while I was going through all of these topics, I wrote down on each and every single topic the exact number of year जहाँ पे वो पूछा गया था. According to
Hmm.
that, I created a list of around 20, 30 very high impact topics, and I channelize all of my energy there. That at least if this question comes, I should be absolutely able to nail this question. So इससे हुआ ये कि टाइम काफी बच गया. क्विक रिविजन्स आल्सो
Hmm.
आई कुड डू बिकॉज सबके नोट्स कंसाइज करना बहुत मुश्किल होता है ऑप्शनल में. यू हैव टू गो
Hmm.
थ्रू ऑल ऑफ द थिंग्स all the time when you read it. But these
Hmm. Hmm.
20, 30 important areas, I had made short notes also. So this really, really helped me this time.
Okay, and this funda was like a self figured out funda? Yeah, is it generally what people do when they kind of look back on their
It
attempt? They
it should be generally done, that PYQ analysis, but I guess this Excel sheet wala jo ye idea tha, and I was lucky enough to come across this Excel sheet wherein some people have already consolidated all of these questions in such a manner. Otherwise,
okay.
people do have access to PYQs, but वो इशू
Yeah.
हो जाता है कि आप उससे बहुत साइंटिफिक तरीके से समझ नहीं पाते.
No,
Yes,
makes sense, makes sense. And you kind of stuck with the plan, this thing. Matlab ki frequency tag kari, number of years it recurred, and then you zoned in on that. And
ex
in the D day, on the day of the
yes.
paper, did it help? Was it
It
actually
it
following some pattern?
absolutely did, because इस बार
Oh,
ऐसा नहीं हुआ कि मुझे बहुत सरप्राइजिंग एलिमेंट लगा हो कि अरे मैंने ये छोड़ दिया. पिछली बार हुआ था, हर बार मोस्टली हुआ है, बट दिस टाइम आई वाज रियली श्योर. And it also saved my time in the paper a lot, because it when you recall something really fastly, you also finish it up fastly. You don't have to waste your time brainstorming in the examination hall over those topics. So it
so
really
people who are kind of taking philosophy optional, tell me the subjects, the themes which appear almost every second year, top of your head.
Okay, so like if you say Buddhism, so Shanikvad is is recurring mostly. तो शनिकवाद अटेम्प्ट हो जाता है, और उसको फिर फर्दर लिंक कर देते हैं, लाइक शनिकवाद मे बी लिंक्ड विद शून्यवाद, शनिकवाद मे बी लिंक्ड विद
अच्छा.
नित्यवाद, एटसेट्रा. तो ये सारी चीजें हैं, अनात्मवाद एटसेट्रा. बट दिस इज वन ऑफ द कोर एरियाज विच विल गेट, और आई कैन ऑल्सो शेयर दिस एक्सेल शीट.
हाँ.
Yes, that would be
That would
really
really
better.
help. That
Yes,
would really help. Okay. So optional aim was to actually maximize by, let's say, 30, 40 marks. In fact, the
yes.
whole mains attempt, what was the aim with which you were actually figuring out going forward?
Okay,
How many
so
marks did you have to improve upon
so
in your
I
head?
had to increase around easily 70 to 100 marks to be very sure कि at least interview कैसा भी जाए, I should be able
Hmm.
to make it to the list.
Okay.
Yes.
That
So
would be
yes, so around 830 to 860 I was targeting. Above 800 for
okay.
sure. Yes.
Okay. Um, any rankers mains answer sheet that you look back for philosophy, or any mentor you figured for this attempt for philosophy? Anything
Okay.
specifically different you did apart from one Excel, which you promise you'll share back?
Okay, no. So, in my previous attempts, so I had gone through the topper I was mentioning, Himanshu Gupta's notes.
Okay.
He had secured AIR 27 back in 2019 attempt. So his
Okay.
notes are available on Telegram. I had gone through all of the notes, but वो issue यही था कि I did not add those notes or those value additions into my own notes. And I also made
Mm-hmm.
sure this time कि whatever value additions I have come across in his notes or in any topper's notes, I would include them in my own writing, or I would I would download it, I would print it, and I would attach it in my own notes. Because if it's just kept in my laptop, I will not be able to look at it just moments before the examination, or even in those 5 days, because the pressure is immense. So I made sure that I
Hmm.
include whatever I read in my own handwriting or on my laptop again via typing or whatever.
Right. So, I mean, like we discussed, so highlighting and that doesn't work. You have to kind of pick up the relevant bits,
Yes,
make them your own, because you
extract.
said that extract your own, because,
Yes,
just about the last week of the paper or on the D day, that's the only thing which helps.
yes, absolutely.
Okay. Any teacher you specifically went to for this time? Any mocks you specifically put
So
up?
mocks I could not attempt much, but for philosophy I've mostly followed Ambut sir's guidance.
Acha.
Yes.
Okay. So no mocks. You did not attempt any mocks. Like,
So no, I really had paucity of time. I had only gotten around 20 days. So I was preparing for like 2 months, but जो concentrated effort होता है, वो बस
hmm.
around 20 days का मिला था. तो उसमें I knew that I needed to revise, because now I knew that
Okay.
attempting answers is not the main issue. Completing paper on time, That is one issue. So I kept on attempting one or two answers each day in a time bound manner. So
Okay. Okay.
yes, so like I
This
would
is generally, this is in
yes.
general, or it's only for the optional?
No, no,
This was for
for
general.
gender studies also.
Acha, ठीक है.
Yes.
Let's just zoom this thing out
Okay.
and GS1 को लेके आते हैं. ठीक है.
Yes.
So I think if I remember right, you said that your focus was increasing on specific set of marks. जिसमें से optional में maybe तुमने 40, you targeted 40s,
Yes.
and the 30, 40 something you wanted to
Yes.
score heavy in the GS1 and 2.
Exactly. Around,
Correct?
I needed to increase around 20 marks easily in my GS1 papers because again, I was scoring somewhere around 80, 84, which is not really a good score. So
Hmm.
around 100 तो आना ही चाहिए. So I was targeting आराम से यहाँ पे 20 marks का increase.
Got it. अब ये बताओ, how did
Yes.
you diagnose
Oh,
your GS1? The
okay.
subjects that you wanted to master, how did you diagnose that what will make you get those 20, 30 marks extra?
Yes. So again, I did this SWOT analysis that where am I missing out on? So either I'm not inculcating whatever I've read into my answers, or I'm not
Hmm.
making enough diagrams in geography, or I'm not quoting good thinkers in say social issues का topic अगर है society का. तो पहले तो I figured out that. Also, since GS1 history, art and culture, geography, you read it in your prelims examination. So at that time only I had made a mental note of the topics which have high sort of value for mains.
That I get. So, but
Yes.
what was the diagnosis? What was it that wasn't working in your favor? Like,
Okay.
why were you lacking? Like, I mean, in the hindsight only, what wasn't
Yes.
working, but you thought it would work?
So because my energy was diffused throughout, I was only reading these subjects from the perspective of prelims and not from the perspective of mains. So now what I did, I went theme wise. Like for modern India, I did not pick up the whole spectrum. I just looked at
Hmm.
themes like women in modern India, or these peasant movements in modern India, or
Hmm.
personality based questions like Gandhi versus Bose or Gandhi versus Nehru, or the whole Gandhian ideology behind the freedom movement. So I looked at
Hmm.
specific themes instead of reading all the facts again and again, because ultimately you do remember facts because pre के लिए इतना पढ़ लिया होता है, but theme
Hmm.
wise preparation is needed. Again, similarly, art and culture के लिए कुछ themes बहुत important हो जाती हैं, for say गांधार स्कूल, मथुरा स्कूल एटसेट्रा, उनका कंपैरिजन, और इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन की अगर कुछ आर्ट फॉर्म्स हैं, और आर्किटेक्चर में द्रविड़ नागर स्कूल एटसेट्रा. Again, I came across a
Hmm.
very good consolidated sort of notes on Telegram. So those were really crisp
Okay.
and were in the form of question answers only based on these themes for art and culture specifically. So I also referred to that. And in
And I
geography,
remember you said ki you were also making notes in terms of question and answers kind of a thing, right?
yeah,
That's how
yeah,
you had changed your note making strategy.
yes, yes. So that was mainly for GS2 and GS3 because ultimately in GS2
Okay.
and 3 you need to present pros, cons, and way forward and case studies, etc. But
Okay.
for
So
this, yes,
GS1, you went theme wise only.
theme
This
wise. And
time you did not read broadly. You went
no,
theme
no, no.
wise specifically.
Specific. Again, for geography also, whatever syllabus specific keywords are mentioned, I prepared my separate notes on that, added some important case studies. Like they ask you examples now, कि अगर कुछ disaster हुआ है, so they will ask you the example that where kindly give us the examples of previous two important big landslides, etc. So I also had
Hmm.
compiled a list, also practiced making India's map or the world map in under 30-40 seconds. So that also
Okay.
helped me a lot because geography में जैसे ही question आया था isthmuses and straits का, तो in that again I had drawn a complete map. Although I did not know कि कितना क्या लिखना है, but whatever isthmuses or straits I could remember, I drew the map,
Hmm.
I pointed all of them. So that really helped practicing
Perfect.
maps.
Perfect. Perfect. And GS2, when we come to GS2.
Yes.
इसमें क्या diagnosis थे?
Okay, so in GS2 governance, so since I said
Hmm.
the main issue was कि value addition का issue है यहाँ पे. The concepts are really broad. Like they'll ask you
Hmm.
about poverty, they'll ask you about malnutrition, etc. सोशल इश्यूज में पूछ लेंगे, या गवर्नेंस साइट कैसे टैकल कर रही है इनको, और गवर्नेंस में इफ दे
Hmm.
आस्क यू अबाउट सिटीजन चार्टर्स एक्सेट्रा, all of these ideas are there, or bureaucracy related reforms, all of these things are there in the back of your head, but you don't really get something which is very different from other candidates. So I really
Hmm.
focused on case study approach, that I should be including important case studies wherever I find them, and that was the case for also social issues wala part जो governance में ही आ जाता है. So that also I did a comparative analysis if some state is performing better than the other states, or India or some other countries are performing better than India in certain aspects.
Okay.
Yes,
So
and
keeping it more real and
yes.
uh, interconnected.
Also picked up from the key phrases and keywords which our PM or president or vice president they mention. So
Right. You
I
mentioned something about writing key
key
people name in the
y-
answer, right? Why?
yes.
What does
Okay.
that?
So basically, the people who are checking your answer papers, so examiners, if they get this idea that you are quoting these important people, then they would know that at least you're going through the newspaper. You're not just blindly
Hmm.
following some material or some books. You're also
Hmm.
applying your own brain. So
Hmm.
mentioning these key phrases, जैसे सबका साथ सबका विकास सबका प्रयास, that's a very common phrase which our
Hmm.
PM
Hmm.
has
Hmm.
mentioned in many schemes. आप वो अगर लिख
Hmm.
देते हैं तो it's really an amazing inculcation of, and also it gives them, उनको भी थोड़ा relatable हो जाता है content. Otherwise
Correct.
it gets
Correct.
very bland and very boring.
Got it. Okay. Awesome. So I'm assuming this kind of was your funda to how to strategically
Yes,
increase my marks and at the
yes,
same time bank on my things that you already knew. Now tell me, on that D-Day when you wrote the paper, what were the happenstances, serendipities which happened where you saw the strategy paying off, right?
yes.
Because that's the core game of this Roy and Real series. Ki really want to know what you thought would pay off, and on the D-Day when you wrote the paper, what really did pay off. So what was it there?
Okay, so the biggest thing which paid off was this PYQ analysis. That again, like you
Okay.
say, you're picking up governance. So they would pick two themes and they'll interconnect them. Like they would maybe connect malnutrition to women issues, or they'll connect poverty. Just up is Hamisha they'll pick up one or two themes and they'll interconnect it. And themes get repeated. So PYQ analysis is a really good thing. Again, like SHGs, NGO, उनका भी एक पैटर्न है कि कितने years में वो रेकर कर रहा है. कुछ एरियाज हैं बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हैं. SHG, NGO,
Hmm.
almost every year they come up. So I also channelize
Okay.
my energy there. And so one thing which really helped me was this keeping this one diary. So
Okay.
so I kept this one diary in which I had consolidated most important high impact topics for GS1, 2, 3, 4. Did not keep
Okay.
a watertight separation between GS1,
Okay.
2, 3, 4. एंड इन दिस लाइक
Okay.
आई जस्ट गेव यू दिस एग्जांपल कि एसएचजी मुझे पता है पूछेंगे ही पूछेंगे, या एनजीओ पता है
Hmm.
पूछेंगे, और लोकल गवर्नेंस फॉर दैट मैटर. एंड इन वन पेज I would just consolidate whatever value additions I know, and on the D day I would just quickly go through those respective topics. And in those 2 hours, that's really really crucial कि you utilize those 2 hours, because we are not superhumans, and we are neither
Right. Right.
computers,
Right.
so recall
Right.
नहीं होता.
So
So
instead
what?
of having GS 1, 2, 3, 4 different notebooks, you
Yes,
kind of created a mesh of
yes.
things, right?
So
And you
that
found questions as
it,
coming in this mess.
exactly, exactly. Like I had so in this last one, so like SNT, when we'll if we discuss about SNT, तो मैंने सिर्फ 4 टॉपिक्स ही इस बार साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी के करे थे, जिसमें जेम्स स्पेस वेब टेलीस्कोप वाज वन ऑफ देम. आई had also drawn a
Hmm.
diagram here. Had I
Hmm.
not
Hmm.
drawn it here, I would have absolutely not figured out to draw it in the examination. but I had such strong hunch looking at the PYQ analysis कि क्या पूछा जा सकता है. So this was such a happy serendipity, like you asked, कि ये exact आ गया. I knew कि ये तो करना ही है at least.
Okay, so
Yes.
SNT made what? Which was the question which came?
James Webb Space Telescope. A similar thing happened also for local body institutions. So I was able to mention relevant committees' names or whatever important value additions are there.
Okay, awesome. And all this you did while you were obviously working,
Yes.
and I'm assuming 8 to 10 hours to job would take or the commute would take. So this is all how you figured ki 70 marks, 80 marks yahan se. Let's
बिल्कुल
see. I mean,
high
I
impact
hope
topics.
this is.
Thank
I'm
you.
hoping that this pretty much should pay off.
Thank you.
Okay, awesome. So we kind of have come to an end of this.
Yes.
What I'll request you is that once we put it online and we let's have the users watch it, do drop in the links. We'll collect the links from you
Absolutely.
so that people can
Absolutely.
download. I think notes from the rankers
Sure.
which you studied and the Excel which you made for philosophy. That would
Absolutely.
give a structure, right, for anyone to make
Yes.
similar Excel for any of the options that they are doing
Yes.
or kind of trying to master.
Yes.
Awesome, Dimple. Thanks for the time.
Thank you, Rosa, for having me here. I really, really enjoyed this whole conversation, and I would be really happy if it helps the candidate
Yeah,
and the
I mean,
aspirants in any manner.
right. Right. So drop in so I mean post this discussion, I'll take the make it very realistic for people who would be kind of attempting the next right
Yes,
now.
yes, absolutely.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Thank you so much.